Hey everybody, and welcome back to Nerd News. Today I'm Matthew behind the camera, and this time we're taking a look at the new Resin mini bust from Marvel Studios' Hawkeye, courtesy of Diamond Select. This is based on Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye in the Disney Plus limited series, and this is an interesting piece, folks. I gotta tell you guys, I have not watched the series yet because, quite honestly, I've fallen behind on most things Disney Plus. But I will never pass up an opportunity to check out a fine piece of sculpture like what we have today in theory. So I'm excited to dig into this Hawkeye and let you guys know how I feel about this particular piece. Let's kick things off though by talking about the packaging very quickly. And like all of the resin busts from Diamond, there's really not much in the packaging. It's just a black backdrop with an image of the statue itself. You can see that right here. Just gives you a closer look at what we're going to be getting here. And we have the logo, which you've been seeing throughout this entire piece. But again, nothing really super breathtaking. It's always fairly generic when it comes to resin mini busts from Diamond. The sides of the packaging are similarly not very special. You've got just another image of the statue on one side, and again, really the same thing on the other side. So not much there to really talk about or spotlight. In the back of the packaging, well, again, because it's a resin mini bust, these tend to fare even less interestingly. So case in point, again, we're just getting more of that black backdrop that we've been seeing throughout this entire video here. We've got the logo. I will admit, it is nice seeing all of the targets across this thing with the Hawkeye colors. I like that. At least there is some design in this. It's not just straight black. There are a few bits and pieces here and there as we scroll on down. You'll see a few more of them, and it does actually help quite a bit, because normally it's just straight black, and that's frankly not that interesting. But it's really cool to see that here, along with this great big photo, again, of the statue we've been looking at here. And I'm going to say this right now. When I first saw images of this, frankly, I was a little bit unimpressed by this likeness. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to be like once it's out of the packaging, because, yeah, this could go one of two ways. This could either be really great, or it's going to be, well, the opposite of really great. So we're going to find out here pretty soon. Now, unlike Diamond's PVC pieces, these resin busts or statues, depending on what it is, doesn't really matter what it is, they don't really have bios on them. Usually what we're really just getting here is just some generic information about this being a statue. That's really it. That's what we're getting here. No bio, no information about Cliff Barton. It just lets us know that this is a statue, in case you didn't know that already. What it does tell us is that this piece is limited to only 1,000 statues total, and each one is individually numbered, so that's going to be cool, and at least it does actually have a little bit of personalization there. After all, how many statues will actually say, "Make mine Marvel"? But right underneath that is actually the most important information about this statue, and that's who made it. And this was designed by Nelson X. Asensio and sculpted by Juan Ramos. But that's enough about the packaging, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get our Hawkeye out of this box and take a closer look at him from all angles. And here is our Hawkeye out of the box, and gotta say, this is actually looking a little bit better than expected. That's a very, very good thing for me to be saying that, since I already mentioned, well, I had some concerns about this guy, but hey, you can be the judge of that too. So let's go ahead and just do a quick rotation, and you guys can get a first look at this thing as well from all the angles, as promised. And we'll start diving into this piece here. And yeah, so far though, I gotta admit, I'm really actually liking this one a lot more than I thought I would. Liking it a lot more, emphasis on that part. Because I didn't come into this, let's say, with super high expectations, as I said. I might have gone a little cynical, to be quite honest, but getting it here in my hands, seeing it now out in the open, this is pretty impressive. This is a much, much better than I was hoping for. And it's not because the bar was set low by my initial thoughts, it's because this actually is a lot stronger than I was led to believe here. I guess that photography that Diamond did to promote this piece might not have been quite as good as I wanted, or maybe the photos I saw weren't really doing it for me, but yeah, having this in hand, it's definitely doing it for me, and I hope you guys are going to be feeling the same way about this piece too. So let's go ahead and start digging in a little bit deeper to our Hawkeye, and let's start in the place I like to always kick these videos off with, and that's with the likeness. And we're going to ask the question of whether or not this looks like Hawkeye. Does it look like Clint Barton? Does it look like Jeremy Renner? Now, this is what I was talking about, because when I first saw images of this, that was the thing that bothered me the most. The portrait just didn't quite look right. Something about it looked off, and I think it was honestly the nose. In fact, I'll move it a little bit closer to the camera. You guys can see that here. So I think the nose in a lot of the photos just didn't look like the way it should have looked. But in the case of this piece here, it's much better. And especially from this 3/4 profile, I think like this right here, that nails the look. Let's see, we'll see how it looks from the profile. That actually looks pretty strong too. Yeah, I mean, try other side as well. Head on looks really nice as well, but we'll We'll just try other side. Ooh, this looks really good actually from this side, especially the way it's lit up too. That definitely helps a lot. No, this is good. I mean, so a lot of people who have like these sort of sunken eyes, like Jeremy Renner has, they can be difficult to sculpt. And looking at his cheek structure and the way his mouth is as well, like that feels like it's something that can pose some difficulty, because when you have sunken in cheeks and that sort of look, it's just harder to sculpt, because it is all about the lighting. If you get the sculpting wrong, especially in some place like the eyes, when light and shadow hit it, it's just going to clearly not look like the person it's supposed to look like. But in the case of this piece here, they definitely got it. And maybe that's why it kind of bothered me in some promotional shots, because it was almost like a little bit cartoony, because that's the truth here. This isn't like a one-to-one perfect likeness, but this is a very easy 8 as far as I'm concerned, looking at the likeness here, especially from a resin diamond piece. This is very, very strong. It's a very good sculpt, really, from all the angles here. Wow, it's actually really good. Now let's talk about the hair for a bit too. And they definitely got the hair. They've got the little Hawkeye buzz in the front there. And actually, even from this angle, it actually is looking pretty good. But yeah, back to the hair for a second here. You guys can just see that we've got some nice toning in there as well. Nice, just overall very nice. Hair might not be my favorite piece in the statue here, but it's good. It's accurate. It's the way it's supposed to look. So I will definitely take that. That works for me for sure. The more I look at the face too, I feel like, I think it might have just been a little bit of a cartoonized version of Hawkeye. Maybe that's the right word for it. It's not quite like the photorealistic thing. It definitely feels like some features are exaggerated, but I don't hate that. I actually think that it helps a lot to make this piece a little bit stronger. So that's the likeness, but let's talk about this pose and the body here. So this is our Hawkeye in action. He's drawing a bow from his quiver, or whatever you call that thing full of arrows. He's got his bow in the other hand there, poised, ready for some action. So good choice of pose for sure. I definitely dig this pose. I think it's a very excellent choice for our Hawkeye. Tells a lot of good stories, adds a lot of action to the piece. And the body looks good too. Hawkeye is not a super huge kind of guy. He's definitely not meant to be the size of Captain America or anybody like that. He's meant to be a little bit more nimble and agile looking, and he definitely feels sleek. The outfit definitely helps it a lot too. In fact, I can talk about that a little bit too. I think this is very nice, the way the outfit is designed. That goes more credit to the folks at Marvel Studios who designed it, but also to our sculpting and design team here at Diamond for getting all those nooks and crannies right and going with it and picking out a pose that really accentuates it. So we have like all these different kind of dark shades here. We have this not quite fully black, but it is a black shade. We have a darker gray and we have a lighter gray as well, and some nice purple pops to go with it. And there's 2 shades of purple on this piece. You can see one on the chest, and there's a more bright shade of purple that's on his shoulder pad. You also got a little bit of silver in there to help kind of make things pop out and shine a little bit here. But yeah, good choices on that. Nice pose, very good choices for anatomy here. You got all the anatomy correct. Let's go ahead and we'll look at that bow now as well. So in case you're wondering, the bow is something that's actually packed separately when you buy this piece. It's I'll show you guys in fact what I mean by that right here. You can just go ahead and pop it out because it's actually got a magnetic piece here. And there you go. That's how you're going to keep this thing safe. Truth be told, I actually dropped this as I was setting this up. I dropped the bow here, and it was fine. I had no problems with it. I was actually very worried this thing was going to be maybe fragile. While it is maybe a little bit if you start bending these bits of the bow here, yeah, that might break eventually. But thankfully, it's actually fairly sturdy, and I'd say the same thing for the rest of the statue too, aside from one other part we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, good detail on the bow as well. You can see there's some, no string, I should admit. There's no string on this thing. And I was actually checking the box, and I was like, is there string? Is it packaged separately or something? But no, it's just the bow. That's it. You just get a bow. Nothing else there. But it's a good-looking bow. You've got, I don't know the names of the bits on the bow, but let's just say it's a good bow. We'll move on from there. I'll show you guys the back of Hawkeye as well right now. And you can see here's his thing of arrows, which has a shield logo on it. And up top, we've got a bunch of arrows, and he's drawing one right now out of the top of that. Now, none of those arrows that you're looking at right now are removable from this. They are all permanently in there. These would be the more fragile bits, I would say, of the piece. If it fell, let's say, and it landed like this, you might have a cracked arrow or two. There's a few that already look like they're being pushed, to be quite honest, because the way this is put together. Like these guys over here are definitely bent, but it's not really noticeable because his hand is in the way anyway, so you're only going to really see it if you're doing it from this angle here. But yeah, you guys can see he is pulling out the arrow right there. And yeah, that sling or quiver, I don't know what you call it, a sack of arrows? I don't know, let's just call it that. That looks pretty nice to me as well. Overall, it's looking pretty good. Now, we'll talk about the base as well. Let's get that out of the way, because the base is like the least exciting part of this entire statue by far. It is absolutely just a hockey puck. I've said that about like others that Diamond have done. Like, you'll see hockey pucks for the Star Wars pieces, for the X-Men pieces, for gargoyles. They're always this kind of rounded base, whatever. But more so than this is so plain compared to even the Star Wars pieces. Like, this really just is a hockey puck. That's not a bad thing. It is what it is. It's just not very exciting. I don't need to talk much about it. I don't really need to show you much else of it. I think the other thing I really want to highlight, though, is just on the bottom of the piece, how it lists the number and limited edition number of this statue here. You can see it right there. And that's also included with a certificate of authenticity, and the number is also written on the back of the box. So you've got a bunch of different ways to get the information of what number your piece is. At the end of the day, I'm pretty blown away by this piece. I've looked at some other resin pieces from Star Wars and other places that Diamond has done, which are based on an actual person's likeness. We've seen some Indiana Jones statues recently in PVC form. I think none of what we've looked at in the past 6 months really holds a candle to what we're seeing with this Jeremy Renner Hawkeye piece here. I think they nailed the sculpting. They had some great choices for the body, for the pose, everything about this. It really works. I was worried about this piece. I was worried about it not working, from the sculpt to the body to the pose to everything about it, but it's actually very much the opposite. I think it's a really solid piece and a great addition to anybody's statue collection. Yeah, definitely gonna be a must-have if you're into the Marvel stuff, for sure. So speaking of, if you want to go ahead and pick up one of these for yourselves, go ahead and check out my affiliate links in the description of this video below. If you pick up this Hawkeye or anything else using those links, it helps support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. And hey, don't forget to let me know what you think about this piece. Hit me up in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this Hawkeye. But that's it for this episode here on Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching. I'm Matthew, and we'll see you guys here next time with more statue reviews, toy reviews, and everything else we do here on the channel.